some of the specific reasons why women think differently about money, right? Based on our past, based on our history. A big part of my story is realizing when I was building my business that I had this idea that I couldn't make as much money as a man. Like, oh my gosh, how was that belief inside of me?
Welcome to the Masterful Coach Podcast with Molly Claire. If you're a coach who's ready to impact more lives, make more money, and create a life you love, you're in exactly the right place. Get the support you deserve as a female entrepreneur. Master your coaching skills, grow your ideal business, and honor your priorities in your personal life. Are you in? Let's get started with your host, best-selling author and master life and business coach, Molly Claire.
All right, coaches, I have Melanie Childers here, and I'm so excited to have you because you are a champion for female entrepreneurs and have so many good things going on. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Molly. It is so exciting to be here. I am just freaking jazzed. I love your show, and yeah, it's an honor to be here. Thanks for having me.
So great. Oh, I'm glad to have you. So just go ahead and tell my audience, who are you? What do you do? Why do you love it? Tell us a little bit about you.
Oh my gosh, of course. So I am a master certified coach, and I am a coach for women entrepreneurs who identify as feminist or progressive in some way. Mm-hmm. And the reason that I chose those people, like that's my people, because one, that's me. And two, I feel like we have consistently been overlooked as the people who are changing the game economically, in business. We're smart as hell. We can run businesses just as well as anybody else. And when I was doing some research and deciding who I wanted to work with and what I really wanted to do, I started as a confidence coach because I went through breast cancer at 34 and it kind of destroyed my confidence. And I had to do that work to build it back up. But when I started looking at, okay, do I want to make a shift? What I realized was that at the time, less than 3%, I think, 3 or 6% of women in business were making over $100,000 a year. And I don't mean take home, I mean revenue total. And I was like, this is not acceptable to me. No, we can do something about that. And we have all of these business skills, and so many businesses are online, and so much of business is your confidence and your belief in yourself, that I was like, okay, if I have to do something about this. So I shifted into business, into sales and marketing and messaging. And it has been so incredible. I had made $200,000 in my business before I made that shift. Mm-hmm. And then it really blew up. But it was really because I think that was so on fire for me. Mm-hmm. I was like, my friends, this cannot stand.
Yes. Okay. See, I'm getting so excited. I feel like this interview, I could just talk about this for hours. Same. Women and money and our mindset. And I'm thinking of, I interviewed Ashley from Pretty Penny Accounting. Those of you listening, you can go back and listen to the episode. But we talked a little bit in that episode. She shared some of the specific reasons why women think differently about money, right? Based on our past, based on our history. A big part of my story is realizing when I was building my business that I had this idea that I couldn't make as much money as a man. Like, oh my gosh, how was that belief inside of me, right? And the other thing that is coming to my mind is I recently interviewed on the podcast Sarah Walton, and she was talking about sort of the care gap and the differences between how much men take on in the personal life aspect versus how much women take on. And she was talking about how, as women, our brains are actually wired to be able to hold a lot more information in a lot of different areas. And so it's like, on one hand, this can lend itself to us over functioning and taking too many things on in our personal life. But also what I was thinking as you were talking is this idea that not only can we lead as well as anyone else and run a business, but maybe we actually have some super skills to be able to excel at it. And why shouldn't we be making incredible money as we excel at building our business, right?
Absolutely. And I think that in my experience, women shy away from sales. Like they don't even like that word because everybody's immediate thought is the used car salesman. You know, there's the flop sweat and the desperation energy.
It's just the
like,
worst, right? It's
I got to sell a car today. What do I got to do to get you in this car? And what we tend to forget as women is that we have innate gifts. We are naturally wired to actually be incredible at sales, but you have to unwire all of the thinking that it's gross or sleazy or manipulative or that you're making someone do something they don't want to do. Because we're not selling to those people. We're selling to people who want a thing that you have. And we are naturally wired to connect, to be warm, to collaborate, to help others. And sales is serving. And we're naturally wired to, I hate saying it that way because that sounds terrible, but we have been patriarchal culturally, you know, that has just sort of seeped into who we are, that part of our role is to help and part of our role is to serve others in good ways. And I don't mean that as like in a subservient way. Don't misunderstand.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's true. It's like, I think that sometimes we can have this idea of, oh, well, we're just trying to put a pretty label on sales by saying selling is helping. However, it actually is if you're helping someone get something they want or need, right?
100%.
And it's like, I always think about this idea that we each have our natural sales energy, right? It like when I'm telling everyone about you here, I'm selling them on getting excited about listening to you, getting excited about the idea of making more money. I'm selling people, right? And so I think there's so much to what you're saying. Like as women, we understand people. We have this intuitive, emotional connection. And I think it lends itself to us truly, if we're authentic, if we're genuine, right? And if we're in integrity, selling people much more easily to get the things they actually want.
Yep. 100%.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So tell me, how did you, so this obviously is kind of a personal mission for you and obvious as to why you love it. Tell me, what is the best part of working with your clients and seeing the shifts in them? And let me back up a little bit. Would you say one of the things you are really helping them with is just this belief about themselves and their capability in terms of how much money they make?
That's an element of it.
Yeah.
But we also work on their copywriting skills. We work on their sales skills in the DMs, on sales calls, selling with their content and with their messaging and making sure that they're talking to people who are ready to buy and who have the money to buy from them. Because like your audience has a certain percentage of people, about 10%, who are actively currently looking for what you're offering and who can't afford to buy from you. And we will always want to make sure that our message is only for them. We're only talking to those people, because otherwise you call in people who aren't ready, who aren't going to get the best results, who aren't qualified to buy from you. And that is the big mistake that 80% of marketers make, is that they're talking to the wrong people. And so what we do in our programs is we make some of those adjustments. And really, honestly, what I love the most is one, like watching them see the difference in the way that they're speaking to their audience, and see the difference that it starts making when they start calling in the right people and they start loving their business more, because they're not having to drag anybody along. They don't have to convince them to do the work or to do their homework, or, it's like those people are already doing the work. They want to do it. They're just looking for someone to lead and guide them. And so seeing that shift for them and seeing that shift in their copy really grows their confidence so much. And just watching them, because another thing that we work on is like being unleashed and unapologetic out in your social media feed, and just like letting your personality shine, letting your whole being shine, like taking up space unapologetically and selling unapologetically and watching their confidence shift. It is palpable and it is so beautiful. And it's like the money is a byproduct. Like that's a wonderful thing.
That's right.
But it all comes from your confidence in yourself, your confidence in what you're selling, and the way that you show up when you sell. It all comes from that energy first. And everything else becomes this beautiful, I guess they call money like a lagging indicator. It's this beautiful lagging indicator that when you show up this way, the money is coming, period, full stop. Everything else is just a tweak.
Yes, yes. Okay, I want to highlight a couple of things. First of all, those of you listening, notice she said a lagging, wait, did you say lagging outcome? Lagging indicator.
Lagging indicator.
Yeah. Lagging indicator, right? So remember that, because I'm sure you've heard this too, Melanie. It's like I'm working with a client and they're like, I just need to stay in belief more, because if I believe, then the money would be there. Well, that's not necessarily true, right? Like I think that some of the tangible outward indications of where you are or of where you're headed are on the way. So first, I just want to point that out to all of you to remember that. And I definitely, in a minute, I want to kind of lean into more of this, ideal client, because I know you've got some good things going on with that, Melanie. But I wanted to speak to what you brought up, because this is, I'm sure you've heard this before too. It's like my client says something like, well, I want to raise my prices, but my clients don't have that much money. They can't afford that. And it's kind of like, well, then you either need to have a different price point, right? If that's your client, or you're speaking to the wrong people. And I think that, you've just brought up what a huge mistake this is and how common it is. And I think a lot of times people think, oh, I just need to believe more, and then I just need to sell harder, and then I just need to convince people. But no, there is a very practical, tangible piece of this of, if you have a program that is a certain price, then market to the people who are ready to pay that price.
Absolutely. Look, there is a client at every price point. Yes. And it is never the price.
Yes.
Right? Like Hermes can sell a $20,000 bag. Target can sell a $20 bag. There is a market for all of those things. But the way that each one of those companies talks to their clients and positions their product and sells those things are very different.
That's the difference. That's
the difference. Yeah. It is not about the price. And I'm not saying it's not about the quality too, because let's be honest, it's about the quality as well. But if you are charging a super high ticket, the quality better be there. That's the expectation that your clients are going to have. And again, like that comes first from your belief in yourself. But what I mean by lagging and leading indicators. So a leading indicator, one, is your belief. It has to start there. Your belief has to be there first. What comes after is money. That's the lagging indicator. But along the way, you should be checking your data. You should be checking, are people responding to the things that I'm putting out? If not, you need to shift something. And if it comes down to like, well, I want to raise my prices, but my clients won't pay that. You, again, right? Like you either need to like pick a different price point, or you need to pick a different client.
That's right. That's exactly right. And how much noise in your head does that solve, right? Lining those up. It's like we try to twist our brain into, a pretzel to like change the way we're thinking or make this work. And there's a simple answer. So,
yeah. Well, and I want people to know too, that at the end of the day, it truly is not about the price. And I think that the mistake that a lot of people make is that if it's low ticket, or if it's affordable or cheap, it has to be basic. It has to be 101, and it has to be for beginners. And that is not true. If you want to work with high ticket clients, they will pay for a workshop, for a piece of the puzzle simplified, a complex concept simplified. and explained in a way that makes sense to them, and they will pay for that. $7, $27, $97. A lot of your high ticket people it's like they want to dip their toe in before they go all the way in. So I have had tons of people buy a $97 offer and then come and buy a $10,000 offer. They wanted a taste of your energy, of your brilliance, of where you can help them go, of how you lead. And then they were ready for the next big thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I recently heard someone who was wanting to do high ticket. I was at a conference and she said, I don't want to have something low price like that because I don't want to waste my time on people who are only willing to spend that. But you're exactly right. I mean, people want to know who you are, right? They want to have that experience with you. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So talk a little bit about that ideal client and that, buyer language too. So let's say my listeners here are wanting to make sure that they're speaking to the right client. They're speaking to the client who is ready to pay them. Tell us a little bit more about kind of thoughts or steps or what you might share with them.
Yeah. I mean, the first thing I would do is look at, and I know it seems so boring, right? Your ideal client avatar. What I don't mean is their favorite movies, what they're doing on a Saturday. I don't mean that sort of demographic stuff. I mean the psychographics. How do they think about themselves? How do they describe their problem in relation to your niche or your topic, whatever you help them with? So if you are, let's say, a weight loss coach, right? And I know a lot of your listeners are coaches. If you are a weight loss coach, you can speak to the problems a lot and the frustrations a lot. Guess what that's going to call you in? People who are frustrated. People who get a lot out of complaining. Who might want someone to commiserate with them and hold their hand, but who might not actually be ready to do the work. So instead, the opposite is touch on the problem and speak more about the outcomes that they want. Because when you're talking to ready buyers, when you are talking to people who are actually ready to solve their problem, and I was that person for a long time. I had gained probably 60, 70 pounds when I was going through chemo, and it puts you into menopause, all of that in my 30s. I wanted to lose weight. I wanted to get back to the body that I had before, but I wasn't actually ready. So I spent a lot of time looking for solutions. I even, like, my best friend was like a marathoner and a body pump instructor. And I was like, okay, I'm ready. And like every 2 or 3 months I would be like, I'm ready. And she's like, okay, come to a class. And I would go to one class and then I'd be like, this is hard. I'm leaving. And she's like, okay, you're not ready. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm so ready. I'm so frustrated. But when I was actually ready, I was willing to do whatever it took. I was willing to take action. I was willing to do more than just plan. I was willing to deal with, this is going to be painful. I'm going to have to learn, but I am ready. And then she was ready for me. But most marketers talk to a lot of pain, and we do a lot of twisting the knife on the pain. And it's not on purpose. A lot of marketing teaches that. But if you actually want to call in people who are ready, talk more about the outcomes that they want. Not from a dreamy, fluffy place, a concrete, specific place. Look, if you want to lose 20 pounds, here's what it takes. If you are ready to do this work, and that is a key shift I see in like calls to action. If you are ready to do this work, you are speaking to people who are ready. It's not, if you want to do this someday, if maybe possibly you're feeling called, or if this feels aligned, stop that shit. That does not convert. I love y'all with all my heart, but please stop saying that stuff. It does not convert. It's coming from a place of, if maybe someday you want to hire me, great. Well, if maybe someday is never going to get you hired, because your ready people want to buy now.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're reading your content going, oh my God, this is me. Oh my God, that's what I want. Okay, yep, that's my problem. Okay, yep, that's my problem in a way that I have not maybe thought about it before. But I want that outcome. I am ready now.
Mm-hmm.
So even just a simple call to action that's like, if you're ready for this result now, then tell them what to do. Click here,
Mm-hmm.
DM me, go
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
right?
I think that, yeah, there's so much power in telling your client what to do.
Oh my gosh, you have to tell
And
the human brain what to do.
yeah, tell them what to do. It's like, think about how many decisions we're making every day, how much uncertainty, what do I do? And so it's like, it may seem a little bossy, but be bossy. Say, hey, do this, right? And that's kind of appreciated sometimes when it's like, what do
Yeah.
I do? Click here, do this, sign up now. Don't wait.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah.
think about your ideal person wants a thing in their life. They're not really sure how to get it. They want someone to lead them to that result, someone
Yes.
to help them get that. And your leadership and expertise comes through when you tell them exactly what to do and how to get it. And
Mm-hmm.
it starts with that call to action. If
Mm-hmm.
you want this result, click here,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
buy now, DM me. A lot of people, and I just decide my ideal clients appreciate me bossing them around a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right? They want to be led. They want someone who is
That's
strong, who
right.
knows what the hell they're doing to tell
That's
them
right.
this is what to do to get the result that you want.
Yes, yes, that's right. And I think I know this is a little bit of a tangent, but it did just come to my mind. It's like when I'm working with my clients and as they're becoming master coaches and they're building out their program and they're growing that expertise and their competence and their confidence. One of the things that we talk about is really stepping into being the expert, being the one, being the leader for those clients. And it's interesting how um I think anyway, when those of you listening, when you think about really owning the space where you are a leader and owning your expertise, even if sometimes that word people freak out about it, semantics. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't care if you use the word expert or not, but like when you step into really owning that that certainty that you can help your clients, you speak to them differently, you show up differently, you make some pretty bold claims about what you can do for them, and it's all true. And I think when
Yep.
without a doubt, it doesn't seem, oh gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not like braggy or I'm this or that, not at all, right? It's just obviously I am the one to help you. Let's get started.
Right. And that's what selling unapologetically really is. It's
Yeah.
not cocky, it's true.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Right. I
Yeah,
think
I was
that's
at
the big difference.
it is a big difference. I was at an event recently where just like the leader at the event, they're just, for me anyway, there was something about the energy that didn't feel as certain, if that makes sense. It was like there were some bold claims, but it felt like, is that confidence there? Is it really there? And I was thinking about that in comparison to seeing someone who's like, a world renowned expert on something and them being interviewed and just their calm certainty. It's just like you look at them and there's no question that they're the ones that you would want to look to. And I think that's the energy, right? And it's got to be genuine and
100%.
you've got to know it and feel it.
Yep. And that comes from your mindset. That's why that's first,
Yeah.
because you can't sell anything that you don't believe in, that you're not confident in, and that includes yourself.
Yeah. And the way that I think about this and teach my clients is like, if you're lacking confidence in something, I think it's a good idea to separate out the doubts, the fears, all of that, and also look at, like if I make a list of all the things I believe need to be different in order for me to be the expert, I think there are going to be mindset shifts, there are going to be emotion components, and there also may be skills that you legitimately need to fill your skill gaps. And so I
Mm-hmm.
think we get into trouble when someone thinks it's all about skills, and if I just have 18,000 certifications, then by the time I'm 90, I'll be qualified. Well, that's not really true, right? Or the opposite end of the spectrum is just believe in yourself, just have confidence. I think, yes, the confidence and the mindset leads you. And like, what is your competence? And are you honest with yourself about it? Because sometimes we cannot be honest with our level of competence and try to fake it, which doesn't really work. And we can also not be honest with our competence by believing it's never enough. Right. And so I think we really need to be onto ourselves and honest about that in both directions.
100%. This is something that I personally struggled with for a long time, because I was like, if I'm going to call myself an expert, I better go back to school and get a PhD and read all the business books. And it was like, no, that's not how this works. But you do need to know enough. And you do need to know enough. And I think it's not enough to know, you have to also do.
Yes.
And that is why people hire people who have done what they want to do. Mm-hmm. And so I would say, don't sell something that you have not done. It will feel out of alignment. It will feel out of integrity for you. And it will be a challenge to sell because your confidence is not fully there because you haven't done it yet. But what, to me, like what I talk to my clients is like, let's look at what are your natural gifts? What are you extremely good at already? What do you already have confidence in that you can deliver? And let's sell that first, because then we don't have to do all of the mindset work.
Oh, absolutely.
It's already there.
Yes.
You're already confident.
Yes.
And then we can fill in the gaps where we need to as you progress forward in your business.
Right. Yeah. And I want to add a little caveat to this, just because I see two pieces of this. I think that because I know sometimes my coaches do feel a sense of fraud complex if they're selling a service that they haven't overcome that thing. And here's kind of my take on that. I think sometimes it doesn't matter, in that, like when I was looking for someone to help my son with anxiety, I found someone who specialized in helping with that, and they were very well qualified, and it wasn't necessarily a part of their experience.
Yeah.
So I do think also there can be a place for someone to be an expert in something, even if they haven't overcome it. And yet I think anyway, and you can share your thoughts or correct me if I'm misunderstanding this, but I think what you're speaking to is where there's maybe a little more wiggle room, where we just like want to claim an expertise in helping people with something because we have some of the skills and it seems like it would be a useful direction to go, but you haven't overcome that thing and you really haven't solidified your skills in it either. So it's kind of this like in between place where you're trying to assert yourself as an expert where there are a few too many holes.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
And from my experience of working with clients, I don't mean don't sell something that you haven't done. I love that caveat because like I have ADHD. Have I overcome it? No, I never will. But I can help people with ADHD, right?
Yeah.
And there's an element of, if you have a PhD in therapy, absolutely sell that, right?
Yeah.
What I mean is more like if you have a personal brand, and most of us who are coaches do, you want to be walking your talk.
Absolutely.
That energy sells. That energy is what makes you an expert. And so it's so much easier if you are already confident in natural skills, things that are easy for you, things that you have already learned and embodied that inside and out. So I think that that's the key piece to me is like the expertise is not on the shelves. The expertise is in I know it and I have done it. I have practiced this skill 1,000 times. I can absolutely help this person that I want to work with.
Yes.
That confidence is everything.
It's true. And like you said, it's embodying that, right? So that we have that type of mindset. Like I think about a couple things that came to mind is someone that helped me to organize. Well, she's never experienced the same challenges that I have had, right, in organizing. Yeah. She's always been good at organization. She's always thought in this way. So even though she hasn't overcome my challenge, she lives the solution. Right. And 100%. So it's like, okay, there's the qualification. And then as she works with me, I start adopting her same way of thinking, her viewpoint of things and systems. Right. And
her leadership. Right.
That's right. That's right. And even, with master coach training, it's one of these where it's like, I started out with just focusing on mindset. And then because of training coaches, working with clients, and my own personal experience that just like challenged me to the core, I realized, wow, like now I'm understanding all of these things about emotions. Now I'm understanding about the nervous system. Now I'm understanding the value in different ways you can move forward. And so it's like, as I'm working with my clients, all those things I'm talking to them about, I do all the time. Yep. One of the teachers in the training comes to teach about tapping, and she's someone I've worked with twice a week for like 3 years. Like I am walking the walk, right? And so I think there's a lot to it. I don't want to get too caught up on that, but if any of you are feeling that sense of fraud complex, these are good things to think about, right? Like where 100%. Is it, and what do you need to do to be that leader in the space?
Yep. Yeah, I love that.
So okay. In just a minute, I would love for you to tell everyone where they can find you. But any last tips that you would offer someone who is really struggling to be clear on that buyer language, speaking to that client that is ready to buy, and especially if they have any, hiccups or hangups about their price and being able to sell people more easily?
Oh my goodness. Well, first I want to honor that it is a little more challenging right now. Things have shifted in the last year or so. Mm-hmm. And if you are struggling, it's not just you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The whole industry has shifted. The economy has shifted. Things have changed. So the thing that I want to leave you with is that there are absolutely buyers in your audience right now.
Yes.
And if you only focused on, and maybe even ask your audience, market research is underrated and undervalued, and it is the most important thing you could possibly do. Mm-hmm. Ask your audience in relation to your niche topic, what is your biggest struggle? Mm-hmm. What do you want? Mm-hmm. They will tell you, and then use their words in your copy. And don't be afraid to be unapologetic and tell them what to do to get help. They will appreciate your leadership.
Yes.
And I think it's so important to know too, because I think in my experience, a lot of people have hangups with like selling unapologetically, like on their social media, or even showing up their whole selves, because their mama and their cousin and their friend from high school follows them. Guess what I tell my clients to do? Block that bee and move on. You need to block them.
Are you building a business? Are you helping people? Are you making the difference? Then do it. Do whatever it takes to do it.
Yes. Do whatever it takes to get the critics and anybody who is not going to be supportive of you showing up the way that is authentic to you to sell unapologetically. Just lovingly, kindly put them on a list and get rid of them. And just say, I love you, but you don't need to be on my social media feed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is not for you, because it's not.
It's like, really I love not, my mom. Right? They're not your ideal buyer.
Yeah.
And you're running a business.
Yeah. Like I had to do this with my dad. Like I love my dad, but I had to block him. Mm-hmm. Love my mom, but she's like cheerleading me. She's like, yeah, girl, get it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, get it.
My dad would be like, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, this is not unhelpful. You can go now.
Okay, I love it. I want to say something to all of you too. And I love that you're acknowledging and validating that it is different right now, and that you listening are not the only ones struggling. And this is something I really, really believe to be true and have seen to be true. We don't need to be discouraged by this fact. And
Right.
in fact, I believe that this is the time when more people are struggling, when business is more challenging, right? These are the times that I think we as leaders rise to the occasion. This is the time when we do exactly what Melanie's talking about. Do that market research, figure it out, solve that problem. Because when you can learn to thrive now, guess what? When everything opens up and becomes easier, you are light years ahead. So I actually kind of see it as an exciting challenge. Whenever you think everyone's struggling with this, it's like, okay, this is the time leaders are built. Let's do it.
Amen. Yeah, I love looking at this. And like, if you've been in business long enough, you know that bubbles burst, dips happen, markets shift. This is just another shift. Things will come back. Money will come back in, right? And this is an opportunity for your resilience practice and your leadership practice to show up and not give up.
Yes.
And listen, we all go through this. I have days where I'm like, you know what? Just chuck it in the towel. That's like 2% of the time, but we all have days. We're human, right?
Yes.
And it's like, it's okay. But your leadership is built and your ability to pivot is built right now. Welcome to the ride. This is the dip in the roller coaster.
That's right. That's right. Hear that, all of you. If you're feeling like you're in a dip, guess what? This is your time to shine and figure it out.
Yep.
Yeah, what you said, it was so funny. The other day, like a couple weeks ago, I was saying something to my son and I was just like, like so discouraged. And this is like really, bad and hard and business, this and that. And he's like, yeah, every once in a while you say stuff like this. And then all of a sudden you've just like sold out your program. So I know how this goes, Mom. I'm like, wait, no, feel bad for me today. This is hard. I should quit.
But hold on, this time it's real.
He's on to me. So, okay, Melanie, this has been awesome. Tell my audience where they can find you.
Of course. If you want to speak buyer language, if you know that your copy and your sales need some zhuzh, head over to melaniechilders.com. I have got plenty of free resources. I also have VIP programs. If you would like to work together for 12 months, we will shift your language. We will shift who you're talking to and help you get more sales coming in the door and handle them from a place of feeling confident and in integrity with yourself.
Amazing. And let's not forget you have an awesome podcast.
I do. Yes, I do. It is called The Bad Bitch Entrepreneur. I would love for you to check it out and have a listen. Molly Claire will be on the show as well.
Yes. So check it out. Thank you so much, Melanie. This has been amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's so fun.
So great. All right, everyone. I'll talk with you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Masterful Coach podcast. Are you ready to build your amazing business with Molly as your coach? Check out www.mollyclaire.com to find out about Masterful Coach Foundations and the 10K Accelerator Method. It's the ultimate support for you as a coach building your ideal life and business.